How's it going, wrestling fans? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Wrestle Report, episode 8, with Phil and Don. I am Phil.
I'm Don.
And NXT TakeOver 31 happened last night. We're going to jump right into it. Last week we mentioned how Clash of Champions was one of the best shows in the COVID era. This show was coming for that show's head because I love this top to bottom. There was one or two things that I wasn't watching fully with football on and everything, but everything that I watched, I loved. Before we get into the show itself, first of all, Don, thanks for being here as always. Before we even get into the show, the new atmosphere for NXT, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love it. It's this hybrid between the Thunderdome and the live fans. Instead of the hockey plexiglass, you got chain link fence. It's in a smaller area. It looks like Full Sail. I'm not sure if I think it's the Performance Center building. It's smaller, so the few people, their voice just echoes. Just turning the show on, I knew it was going to be great based off the new atmosphere, and it pumped life into the performers, I think, for this show.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I enjoyed looking at that arena. It looked smaller. It looked bigger to me, even with the virtual fans. The Thunderdome is type ordeal, and I love the chains. I like what Wade Barrett said during the show. It's like everyone's in a cage match at all times.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you could use those links as a weapon.
Yeah,
just like a cage match, and I thought it was pretty cool.
I think the reason it's probably the same size, but when you have that wall of video screens, the room doesn't go back as far. So the handful of people that are there are more. It looks more like a mosh pit because, like, I don't think people were 6 feet apart necessarily, but like I'm not gonna really call them out on it anymore. But like it felt like a mosh pit, or like back in the day when you'd go to TNA, the first 5 rows were standing room only, and they called it the pit. And that was like, it reminded me of that because again, there was maybe 50 people there, but it sounded good because they were all like bunched together and they were on the the right camera side. So yeah, I don't know for sure if this is the new setup or if this was to make TakeOver feel special. I'm fingers crossed that they're keeping it this way. I don't know if they necessarily mentioned that or not. We'll know on Wednesday, I guess. But I'm definitely hoping they keep this look because this was really the shot in the arm that NXT needed.
Oh yeah, it's different, and I think this is gonna bring them over the hump.
Yes.
Because everyone used to be like, "Oh, NXT is great and all," but it just looks so small. It looks like the lighting is different. Because then when you compare it to AEW, the lighting is different. It's definitely darker. It's like it looks like an indie show compared to AEW.
Right, and AEW obviously they have a very few amount of fans, but they are allowing fans. I think it's 500 scattered across like a 2,500 seat place. So like it doesn't look any better with the people scattered, but it sounds better, and you can at least get a couple shots of people like losing their minds and everything. So this is their version of that. Obviously, they don't have an outdoor facility that they can utilize, so this is their attempt at a better view, and I like it. I think it's exactly what they needed, and I want to see more of it. So the first match, I think it was a great one to kick off the show, the North American Championship. Damian Priest defending against Johnny Gargano. This was great from the word go. I think these guys, you wouldn't think that they would clash together well or mesh together well in their styles, but they seem to have some chemistry that I did not know would be there between these guys. I think Gargano is still the more veteran of the two, but like he made Priest look like $1 million in this. Gargano's at this point, it's like Sami Zayn back in the day. Like a loss doesn't hurt him because he's done everything. He's the king of NXT until he decides to leave there. So I don't think him losing this did a thing to him, and all it did was make Priest look like the king.
Oh yeah, there was no loser in this match.
Yep.
Yeah, technically there was, but when you look at it on paper, it's like whoever wins is going to be the other person's still going to win at the same time. Definitely Priest is over. He's definitely over. I like Damian Priest a lot. Great match. I like the moveset that Damian Priest has. I like the fact that he kept on trying to do the chokeslam, and Johnny Gargano just kept on reversing it. Really, really standout match. I had this number 3 as my favorite match of the night.
Okay. I mean, there's only 5, so saying it's number 3 isn't that big, but like there's not a bad match on this card. Spoilers, I'll tell you
No,
right now. It's just a
no,
matter
not
of
at all.
where you're gonna put everything. But yeah, great title defense, great like 20-minute match. It was like 18 minutes, it says here. Just perfect start, to the show. Really, really hooked me. And I kind of had it on casually. I was at a buddy's house for his son's birthday. We had it on. But this match hooked me in. Like from then and the rest of the show that we were still out and about, I was locked in. And this match had a lot to do with it. It was the perfect opener of every last with Clash of Champions doing the ladder match first. Again, perfect. Just when people talk about bookers, you're usually thinking about matchmakers, but like the order of matches, doing that correctly is a whole nother art form sometimes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you need to know how to send people on that wave of emotion, and even the matches that bring you down a little bit. If you place them in the right places, it's okay still. So I just think it was a great call putting this first. Next was Kushida and Velveteen Dream. I love seeing Kushida being utilized more in the States and in NXT specifically. When they first brought him in and they brought Alex Shelley to do the time splitter gimmick tag team in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and they lost in the first round, I kind of didn't have a lot of hope for them. Alex Shelley, of course, has since gone back to TNA, reunited the Motor City Machine Guns with Chris Sabin. He's doing fine. I was worried what Kushida was going to do while he's here. They do seem to be giving him somewhat of a push after a pretty dominant win, I would say, over Velveteen Dream in submission, some extracurriculars after the bell too, just multiple submissions and stuff, ranking on his arm afterwards. Looked pretty dominant. I don't know if this is them wanting to push Kushida or the fact that since returning, Velveteen Dream has kind of been in a rough with the fans still. They probably don't see putting him in a good situation yet. But just as the match itself, I thought this was very good. You could tell that the hate felt real, which is what you always want in a feud such as this. Big win for Kushida, though. I think this could propel him into like a cruiserweight title opportunity, which we'll talk about the cruiserweight title here shortly, or even a shot at Priest and the North American title. I think that would be great as well.
Oh yeah. Either or, you're gonna have a great match.
Yeah.
If it's against the cruiserweight champion, or even if it's against Priest. I think it was definitely glorified squash match.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kushida got a lot of the offense in. Velveteen did get some offense in, but it was mainly in control from jump. Hell, Kushida didn't even get his entrance. Kushida just went out there and during Velveteen's entrance and start wailing on him off rip. So it's definitely wanting to see what's going to be next for Kushida.
Yeah, with the group of people I was watching it with, they weren't as familiar with Kushida, so I told them he's the Japanese guy that dresses like Marty McFly, and that was enough to make them like, all right, I want that guy to win. But I think we got to mention, too, Velveteen's never been short on the theatrics and the entrances and the attire. I'm 90% certain he was trying to look like Doc Brown in this match. Am I crazy, or was that what he was going for?
That's definitely what he was going for. I had a friend over and he was thinking that was like Rick and Morty, Rick Sanchez
Rick and Morty
from
spoof.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, because he had the gloves and the white pants.
Great.
But he wears the white pants somewhat often. But when I noticed he went out of his way to make his hair gray, I'm like, yeah, no, that's Doc Brown. That's got to be. But yeah, so not as much stuff going for Velveteen since he's been back. The fans that were once behind him aren't. I'm not going to say they're right or wrong to feel that way, but what do you think if you're in the business of saving his career, to put it bluntly, what do you do with Velveteen moving forward? Because you're a pretty big fan. I've even prior to everything, I was never huge on him. You were pretty high on him at a time. Like, how would you go about resurrecting his career right now?
Right now, I will take him off of TV. Mm-hmm. Take him off of TV. Do what you got to do. If it means firing him at the end of the day, fire him at the end of the day. Yeah. It's gonna be hard because there's a lot of hardcore NXT fans, a lot of hardcore fans in general of professional wrestling, and they just I don't know if they'll ever forgive him for allegedly what he did.
And I don't like to bring, one, I don't like talking about people's business in this aspect. As we're fans, we're usually talking about their on-screen personas. I don't like to talk about
Yeah.
their personal lives all that much, but I'd almost put it like the other version of this is like the Enzo Amore situation, where he got fired the second the story broke, and then
Hmm.
down the line, not only was he innocent, but he had to go out of his way. He spent money to do an investigation on himself to clear his name, because they basically said,
Hmm.
"Oh yeah, he's a name in the suspect," and then they took that and fired him. And then people have since, for like the people that do follow Enzo, he wrestles here and there periodically on the independents these days. Um, they don't seem to really associate him with that situation anymore, and maybe it's because what I'm saying is just firing him doesn't solve the problem unless it just seemed he was in a similar situation where he was kind of cleared of charges, from what I understand. Velveteen, I'm talking about, but for whatever reason, people aren't as willing to forgive as they were with Enzo. And I think the Enzo, because they jumped the gun and they fired him immediately, people may look more sympathetic on that, or the fact that he spent several tens of thousands of dollars to, have a detective, go on himself and clear his name. So like, I compare it to that because it's really the only other situation. It's funny that it's a very similar situation, but the reaction of the people have been completely different, I guess is where I'm going with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It just sucks because, like I said, like before, like you said before, I'm a huge fan for Velveteen.
Mm-hmm.
From when he was Patrick Clark and Tough Enough, I thought he was going to win
Mm-hmm.
that series of Tough Enough. But it's tough, man. Just because of what you're dealing with, um, and it's hard for fans to forgive and forget.
Where are you with that, dude? When you watch him, is it difficult to not think of the allegations, or are you at a like? Are you, if more people were in your wheelhouse with this, would he be all right again? Like, are you someone that looks past it because he was proven to not be guilty?
I don't.
Has it
I
affected
look at
your
I
fandom of him
it,
at all?
no, not at all. I look at him at two different people. Two
Mm-hmm.
different people. Like I look at him. I like the performer in
Mm-hmm.
Velveteen Dream.
Yeah,
Patrick Clark is a whole different person.
sure.
Um. Uh. It just sucks because nowadays people like I said, people don't forgive and forget in wrestling nowadays.
Yeah,
Um. Now, if it's true for sure, then
yeah, that's
then yeah,
different.
he has to go.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think just to get him just to like put out some of the fires. I think he needs to be off TV for a while.
Yeah, I think it's true that they probably brought him, like, because his return in general was not met with positive reactions at all. And when they
Not at
put
all.
him in the ladder match for the title, people would have gone apeshit had he won, but a lot of people were offended he was even in that spot.
In it, yeah.
Um, so that that tells you everything you need to know about where people sit with him. So I think you're right. I think they need to remove him from the scene for a while, and we'll get to this talk a little bit later. But when he comes back, might not need to be on NXT. It might need to be on another level. But then if you do that, are you rewarding him for the situation? Like, other guys work really hard to get called up, and he's doing it at a necessity. But that remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Moving to the next match, we mentioned after Kushida winning that he could go for the North American title or the Cruiserweight title, and the Cruiserweight Championship was on right after. Um, Escobar, was it Santos Escobar against Isaiah Swerve Scott? I am a huge fan of Scott since he was in Major League Wrestling, MLW, the same place that gave you MJF, and we talked about the NWA pay-per-view last show. The Alexander Hammerstone guy, also from MLW. I could see in 2 or 3 years we just get an excess of talent. Junior Fatu, who's in the Samoan wrestling tradition, he's their champion right now. That's a guy that we could maybe see there one of these days. But back in the day when like Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan and El Generico and Kevin Steen, all like when you had this mass exodus from ROH to WWE, I could see a similar thing in MLW because of guys like Scott and MJF and guys that do come from there. But this match was great. I was definitely pulling for Scott here because it almost puts you in a situation that when Escobar wins, you don't know who's gonna go for him next. I think Scott looked great in this, and it was a big win if you're someone that wants Escobar to succeed. But overall, great match, a great modern cruiserweight title match because nowadays the normal wrestling style is closer to the 90s cruiserweights than ever before. So the cruiserweight division is kind of looking for its own niche again because it's not just being a high flyer because almost everybody's a high flyer now. So they add a little bit more, technical ability than they ever used to, unless you're a guy like Dean Malenko or something. But I thought this was great. I thought this made the cruiserweight title look great. It was great for the division.
Oh yeah, I like this match a lot too. This is number 2 of the 5 matches that I ranked. I love Swerve. Swerve is awesome. Swerve. I actually saw him in person when I went to SmackDown a couple last year, and and I didn't know who he was at first, and he won me over after that match. I think he went against Oni Lorcan.
Was he in a dark match?
No, it was a cruiserweight match.
205, gotcha. Yeah.
I went to see 205 because I stayed after SmackDown and watched it.
Right.
But man, Swerve could fight his ass off. He is a badass. He is technical as hell. He has speed on him, and then you got Phantasma Escobar. He's also great.
Yeah.
I never really I never got to see him in the AAA or the Lucha Underground. But from what I'm seeing here, it makes me want to go actually look back and see these matches that they used to have in these other promotions.
Yeah, it's definitely worth. I think both these guys, like you said, the MLW stuff for Scott, definitely worth looking at. He had a match with Low Key that I'm a big fan of. Low Key when he was their champion. That happened. That was a great one, definitely to look into. But regardless of if it's Kushida, which I think the more I say it out loud, Kushida for the cruiserweight belt would be a great get because he's like a 5 or 6 time junior heavyweight champion. He's pretty connected to that style. North American title would be great, but I think I'd love to see Escobar and Kushida mix it up at the next big show. Like that'd be pretty awesome. But that remains to be seen. So moving on to the women's title match. This was the only match that I didn't watch fully. I was a little distracted while this one was going on, so I'm going to defer to Donovan on this about everything that oh, did I skip one? Did I skip something? No, I didn't. Oh no, this is the one I'm thinking of. Sorry. So I do know that Johnny Gargano ran down in a referee shirt to try and help his wife in the women's championship match, and I knew there was some little extracurriculars after the match, but I'll let you take this one.
Great match. These two women are 2 of the best women they have in NXT. It was the right person won. I think it's still too early for Io Shirai to lose her championship, and not saying that Candice LeRae isn't capable of doing that. It's just I think it's still a little too early.
Yeah.
But man, these 2 women can fight.
Yeah.
These 2 women, I believe the match was like at least 12, maybe 15 minutes long.
It says 16 here, so they 16? Gave it time for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, and they used every bit of that time. I mean, other than the shenanigans with Johnny Gargano, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, that was worth it. That was worth the shenanigans for sure.
And I totally thought it was going to be another Bailey situation. Gargano being Bailey, of course, and the quick count. And I did not see Io Shirai kicking out. I did not see that at all. Like I just thought, oh man, that's how she's gonna win the title. Is that how we're gonna end this match? But then Io kicked out perfectly. And then the referee, I popped when the referee said, "Give me my shirt. Take off my shirt." It's like, so you know that. How did he get your shirt?
You're right. Like,
how do you know that's your shirt?
Was it in your locker or did he take it off your back? Like, I don't know.
I laughed my ass off for that part. And then I like the fact that Io Shirai was able to overcome the title bump um from Candice and still was able to win the match. Uh, what's next for Io? I don't know. What's next for Candice? I think Candice doesn't need to be in NXT anymore. I don't think Gargano need to be in NXT anymore. Yes, Candice didn't win no championships there, but what else? What's next? This, if anything, this was a chance that she could have won. What's next for her?
I think this shows that she is championship caliber. Like, had
Oh
she
yeah,
won, nobody would have been upset or anything.
no.
I agree. I think she may have. I think them together, Gargano and Candice. We mentioned earlier, Gargano's kind of done everything in NXT. It's just like certain guys, like Ciampa, I don't see leaving NXT. It's just where he belongs. Gargano, I could possibly see doing well on the main roster. Same with Candice. We can probably talk about that a little bit later when we get into the draft talk. But I'm with you. I think that their journey in NXT has got to be coming to an end here soon. And then there was some stuff that went down after this match. Is that true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Tony Storm.
Mm-hmm.
She came out onto the video board, which I thought that was once again pretty cool. They used the arena for this reason. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
They, instead of having it on the big Titantron, they had it on the actual where the Thunderdome, where the virtual fans were.
Yeah, no, that was
cool.
definitely cool.
And it was of course it's facing the hard camera too, so that made it even better. Yep. And then the I don't know if you remember, there was packages that have been going on for the past 3 weeks, I believe, of this person in the night vision goggles and doing their thing, riding around on motorcycles and stuff.
Yeah.
Come to find out, it's Ember Moon.
Yeah.
Ember Moon is back on NXT. She should have never left NXT.
Yeah.
I love Ember Moon.
I'm a big fan of Ember Moon too.
She has one of the best finishers. I'm happy that she's not hurt anymore, because I know they were saying that it was a career ending. I believe she tore her Achilles from chasing the 24/7 championship.
That don't sum it up. You mentioned her finisher. I think she's got one of the better theme songs also. I've always enjoyed her theme song. So that right there, you mentioned, like, let's say if Kansas goes on, you just pumped life into this division. One girl leaves to take her place. Like, that helps a lot. I don't know if this whole motorcycle thing with Ember is going to be part of it, or if it was just a way to reintroduce her. We'll see. But if they do move Candice elsewhere, I have no qualms about the NXT women's division, because it seems like they're going to be fine. They still got plenty of talent.
Yeah.
So
they still got a lot of untapped talent too. If you look at some of the people that they have, like Kate Carter, Cesaro, Camila.
Yeah, there's
all them girls are pretty good.
There's room for plenty of them to grow, but even just the people that that you would need for big matches right now, you now have 2 more of them back, and that's always good to see.
Yeah.
Then we go to the main event, and I absolutely loved everything about this match. The NXT Championship, Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. Before we even get to the match, we got to talk about the stuff that happened, right beforehand. Kyle O'Reilly's walking down this hallway. It reminded me a lot of, like a UFC opening, or like even a Goldberg opening back in the day. You got the black chain link fence on one side. You got a black brick wall on the other. And he's getting dapped up by the other Undisputed Era guys, hugs all around, goes off to do his thing on his own. I think when he got this opportunity, I know myself anyway, was thinking back to like when Randy Orton won the world title and got kicked out of Evolution. I don't know if this was going to be the seed that started the Undisputed Era breaking up, but they seem stronger than ever. I mean, before you get to the match, I just think it puts so much into perspective that this group is still, going strong and everything. And everyone knows Kyle O'Reilly in WWE anyway as a tag team guy. So to give him this platform and just to give his all against a guy like Finn Balor, who's also reinvented himself lately, new ring gear. He's got like the burgundy tights now. He's wearing the leather jacket every time. He's got the one sleeve of tattoos, I think it is, or half sleeve or whatever it is. But he looks completely different than he did even on the main roster. He just has the aura of the Prince Devitt character of New Japan. He just seems like a big deal. And towards the end of his run in on Raw or SmackDown, like he just seemed like another guy. So they have the experiment of moving someone back to NXT has worked 1,000% with him. And this match just felt like a big deal. I actually rewatched it this morning because I wasn't really giving it the attention that it deserved at the time that it was airing. So I rewatched it today, and it was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, great match, technical match. Kyle O'Reilly, man, I'm hoping that this means that he's gonna get more single matches. I mean, yeah, I rather him see him in single matches a lot more, just so we can get more focus on him. Because when he's with Bobby Fish,
Yeah.
he does get Kyle O'Reilly still gets a lot of attention from his matches, but he's always in tag teams.
Yeah.
Let's give him a singles push. Hell, let's you could throw him against Priest if it comes down to it.
Yeah.
For the North American Championship. I just want to see him do, with the air guitar with the belt again.
Yeah, definitely. The thing with the whole deal with what'll happen with the Undisputed Era, like eventually they will break up. We know that. That's like an inevitability. But the positive is when they do, that gives you 4 main eventers ready to go. You know, they might not all be main eventers right away, but like Cole and Strong, good to go with anybody. Even if you pull Fish and O'Reilly behind and make them like mid-card guys on Raw and SmackDown, like you get 4 main event quality guys that you can do whatever you want with. It's just like you know, new toys in the toy box if you use them correctly. But again, it doesn't seem like that's happening now. They stayed in the back. There was no miscues between the guys or anything. But this match with Finn Balor, you mentioned how technical it was and how he was working on his back the whole time. I saw something that I haven't seen. I've never seen it live because this is just not the era of wrestling, but probably since the 80s, because he worked on his back so much, he gets him in an abdominal stretch, and it popped the crowd. Can you remember the last time a stretch hold like popped the crowd and then and it was like I'm sitting there and I kind of look down at my phone for a second and I hear the crowd and I look up and he's in the stretch and I'm like, that's what popped the crowd? Like that's insane. Like that was so old school. You mentioned, you know, the technical aspects of it. He eventually put him into like a sharpshooter type position and false finishes on both ends. And I think Balor still got the belt, but both dudes won here. I mean, O'Reilly got to show what he probably hasn't gotten to. For people that only know him through his NXT career, they know him as the tag team guy. So if anything else, he's shown like I'm much more than that.
Oh yeah, and like what I liked about it is they were selling the hell out of each other. Like O'Reilly was selling his abdominal was all messed up. Like I don't know if you saw the kick that Finn Balor did. Finn Balor kicked him in the stomach, and like you don't see this as much. They usually get kicked. Someone gets kicked and like, oh man, ouch, ouch, ouch. Yeah. He actually kicked him and he fell down to the ground because he's been his stomach has been worked on the whole night, the whole match. So I like that. And then O'Reilly with the was it a heel crusher? I think it's a heel crusher submission. And like he was wrenching down, just trying to work over that knee, so he couldn't do the coup de grace. Because Finn Balor is known for his legs.
Yeah,
he'll do most of his stuff is with his legs. So it was like I could see it. I could see why he was going after those things, and it just made sense.
Yeah.
But once again, it was not time for Finn Balor to lose that championship. That was his first Finn Balor's first defense, right?
First big one anyway. There might have been another one here and there, but yeah, no, I don't think it would have been the right call necessarily for Finn to lose it right away, but it was the perfect match to showcase both guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that was fantastic. I'm interested to see. I mean, if the Undisputed Era start turning into more of just an alliance where all the guys are kind of doing their own thing, but you know they're together, I think that would be great as well. I mean, you think almost like DX, like X-Pac could have had his feud with the European Championship, and the Outlaws got the tag belts and stuff. And like every time they come out, it wasn't about the whole group, but when they need a backup, they were always there. So like I wouldn't mind if it turned into more of an alliance than like a team for a while, and just let all these guys spread their roots and see what's going on there. But overall, just fantastic show. Originally, I like when takeovers are quarterly and they're matched up with the the big 4 pay-per-views, and that's when we have takeovers. This one seemed to come so quickly after 30 that I wasn't really into it until I turned it on, and the show kind of won me over. But the idea of this show I wasn't all for, just because it seemed too quick. And the thing about takeovers, it's not like your monthly pay-per-views. Like, they happen so far apart that they're always special. And I felt this one was a little too soon, but it won me over fairly quickly and fairly easily because it was a fantastic show. I just hope we don't get in the habit of every other month takeovers now. Like, I want, at most 6 a year. I don't want, it's been 4. I'll take 6, I guess, but I don't want 8 or 10. I think that would kill the magic.
Now the real question is, because I'm not sure if they're going to do it this year, but they usually have a takeover after before Survivor Series, and Survivor Series is next month. So I'm thinking, are they just gonna merge it? Because battle through the brands.
I think,
are they gonna do that again?
Yeah, I think that's where that's gonna go. I think that maybe this took that, the November, October takeover. They moved it up here because Survivor Series more has been having NXT talent on it, so that might take that place of that. Maybe that was the reason, and if so, that's fine. Again, I'll take 6 of them. I don't want more than that. I think that would kill the buzz, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So fantastic show by the Black and Yellow brand for sure. If this was a normal show, they'd probably win in the ratings that week. But overall, I mean, this has got to bring this Wednesday. It's got to bring some viewers. I'm not saying they're going to necessarily beat AW because we're about to get to it. They have a fantastic show set up as well, which is the 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho and wrestling show on Wednesday. But the NXT, the follow over, the momentum from this show should bring them some other viewers. But let's get into the AEW side of things. Like I said, 30th anniversary show for Chris Jericho. It's him and Hager against Project Chaos, which I love the name, against Luther, and I always forget the name of the guy in that match. But the point of this match is him and Luther trained together in Canada when they first started out. So they've known each other basically his entire career, and the reason they worked this match in is so that he could finally face his old friend, and that's one of the, I don't know if this match will be great, but the story behind it will be, so that'll be cool. But there is other great matches lined up for AW. I don't know when's the last time we saw a dog collar match, but we get one this Wednesday. Brody Lee and Cody for the TNT Championship. This. Again, I can't think of the last time I saw a dog collar. I mean, I've watched stuff in the 80s and early 90s with, Dusty Rhodes and stuff, like having dog collar matches. But I don't know if the normal network TV is ready for a dog collar match, especially, how Cody's going to do it. Cody's going to get color. He's going to go over the top with it. I don't know if the regular, scheduled TNT audience is going to be quite ready for this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be different for sure. Yeah. I can't even remember the last time I saw a dog collar match.
Yeah.
In the modern era. But I do have a question for you. Like, do you think that they're going to show? Because it's a 30-year anniversary for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to show highlights of his 30 years? Because I don't know if they're going to be able to get stuff from WWE or WCW. They would have to get stuff from New Japan and
ECW and
EC. I'm not sure what ECW because
it depends what Taz might own, because he owns a little chunk of the library. But like, based on what I see on Twitter, because they've posted pictures from those eras, and the photo credits always like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and the magazines from that era. So I think if they're getting stuff from them, they'll be safe. I don't know about clips, but they should at least be able to show pictures, I would think. But no, that's a great point. Like, I don't know how they're going to – however they're doing, I'm sure they have a plan, or they wouldn't have made the whole show about it. My guess is a lot of still frames from Pro Wrestling Illustrated from those days leading up to now. Obviously, no pictures with, like, WWE's belts or anything like that. But, like, I think you'll get, early New Japan, Mexico stuff. You'll get Stampede Wrestling in Canada. You'll get maybe Jim Cornette's got Smoky Mountain stuff with him and Lance Storm. They might have Lance Storm do a package of talking about like teaming with him and growing up and going down the road with him. They can go. I do hope, because he's been around for so long, that they do space out and just give some interviews about Chris Jericho from like good opponents and things like that, or teammates. I would like to see that go down that way for sure. But that remains to be seen. I'm sure they have a plan for it though. And the other big, to me, it's big. The FTW title is on the line. Brian Cage against Will Hobbs, and I mean, with the title not really being an official title, like anything can happen. And I would go ballistic if Will Hobbs. I'm a big fan of that guy. If he is able to win the title from Brian Cage, even if he loses it back shortly after, or maybe like Ricky Starks has to get it back from him or something. But
Yeah.
no, I think it would get Will Hobbs over huge, and it's easy enough to do because it's an unofficial title. It just makes it like it's a big deal, and it gets the guy over, and you're not even putting a real championship on him. I think it's a win-win. But I think as long as he has a good showing against Brian Cage, it's still a good move. I mean, he's the only guy from that like AEW dark area that they've started to push. Like he's lost 2, 3, 4 matches, and then they're finally like, no, let's start giving him some wins over some jobbers, and let's make him a guy, and let's have him rub elbows with John Moxley because that match was supposed to happen before the whole Brian Cage COVID thing. So I love what they're doing with him, and it's proof that they can make homegrown stars. I think he might be their first big one because like Darby Allin is you can consider one, MJF you can kind of consider one, but this is someone that nobody knew prior. So I mean, this is might be the proof that they can make their own stars. So I think it's big, depending on what happens there.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Will Hobbs. Well, I mean, I've read some stuff about him. He's a big guy. He's definitely a Vince McMahon type of guy.
You would think.
Yeah. This should be a good showing for him. This could basically put him on the map, and he can make some money off this match, probably most likely. It's definitely a breakout chance.
Yeah, I would think so. So it's just a matter of which way. He doesn't have to win it for it to be a success, but I think, as long as he has a good showing, will be good. We're going to wrap up today with the WWE Draft Talk because the first stage of the draft is Friday the 9th on SmackDown here. Before we get to the draft itself, last week Donovan posed a really interesting question on if we thought AJ Styles was a WWE Hall of Famer. So you're basing it solely off of his WWE career. So I threw that out to you guys in the Twitter sphere, and here are the results. 89% said yes, that he is a WWE Hall of Famer. That's definitely the strongest poll we've had. 11% said too soon to tell, and that means nobody said no. So, I mean, my question, and thank you, anyone who voted, hashtag Wrestle Report Pod, look for those for our next set of polls. But what that says to me, if you're in the 11% that says too soon to tell, what else do you need him to do? Does he need to win a Royal Rumble? Does he need to, I get saying, maybe just pulling back a little bit, but I'm in the 89%. I think it's a yes. We decided that last week, but good to know we're not the only ones because that's got to be the most one-sided. If I only put yes and no as an option, I think it might have been 100%. I wanted to give a little bit of an out on the too soon to tell situation, but I don't see us having another 89% of anything. But thank you all who voted, and AJ Styles, future WWE Hall of Famer. I think we are all in on that. So let's wrap up today with the draft talk. I just mentioned Friday on SmackDown will be the first chunk of it, I guess, and then on the 12th, which is the following Monday on Raw, will be the second part. We mentioned like Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. They are people who would probably benefit from moving now. My question is, this sounds like an easy one, but like, do you put them together or do you split them up and let them do their own things?
Well, I don't think they're gonna be able to split them up just because all the married couples and stuff are all on the same show. They like Naomi and Jim. We got Aleister Black and Zelina. They're all on the same show. So I mean, whatever show they both go on to, they're gonna thrive and they're gonna make the shows better, make the vision that they're in better. I do have a question for you though. Who do you see coming from NXT? Who do you see moving up, other than Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae? And who do you see going down?
See, to answer the second part before the first, I don't know that going down as a whole I don't know if that's a legit thing. Like they've sent some people down kind of just casually and like, oh, they're here now. Like even the Fandango, like they're, and Tyler Breeze, like they're Breezango, that's the word I was looking for. They're the tag team champions down there now, and like that just kind of casually happened. So I don't know that we don't know to this moment that that NXT is part of the draft aside from being able to pull from. So I mean, there are plenty of people that could benefit from going back down. Like there was this one thing going around. I'm trying to remember where it comes from, but the whole a former NXT champion is returning to NXT, and the only two that aren't in the middle of stuff was Bobby Roode and Bo Dallas, and Bobby Roode just reappeared. So that kind of leaves Bo Dallas. So that's someone that if they send him down and because the guy can work with anybody, like he's just as good as in the ring. So if you bring him back, I don't know that we need the Bo leave situation again, but like I think he could benefit from going back down there and just being like a medium fish in a smaller pond as opposed to, in a teardrop in the lake that he is now. So if someone does get to go back to NXT or for the first time, but in this case back, I think Bo Dallas, he's still on the roster. You're doing absolutely nothing with him. You don't even have Curtis Axel to do the B team thing anymore. So yeah, I would put Bo Dallas back on NXT and see if he can salvage his career. I think that'd be great because they're clearly not doing anything with him and Bray together because they're doing the Alexa Bliss thing, which we'll probably know more about next week and we'll bring it up then. But that's going great. But I would have loved to see Bo Dallas get involved with the Fiend story. Doesn't look like they're going that route. So if you're not going to, put him on NXT for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a real good one. I was thinking more the line of Ricochet or Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Ricochet's not doing nothing on Raw, or hell, send Ricochet to SmackDown and he could do something. He could do some good work over there on SmackDown. It seems like to me SmackDown has been the better show, well, watchable show, I should say.
I agree.
Raw, it's still, to this day, I still think they should cut it down. They should have 2 hours.
I mean, we mentioned that last week. It's not so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much. I mean, they're contractually obligated to. I love the third hour just play retro stuff because like you're obligated to do 3-hour content on that show at that day at that time. So like, I don't know if they need to do more promo heavy stuff and like. Because really, when you watch Raw on Hulu, right, like they cut it down to an hour and a half. You don't miss anything. And that's the moment you realize that in 3 hours of a show, only half of it is wrestling. So, like, you need to find other ways to fill that time then. If you're not going to have that many more matches, you got to figure out something else. But I'm trying to think of anyone else who, like, I don't know, the draft, this might be the least excited I've been for a draft because people have been co-mingling on the shows all year. So, like, it gives both shows a little bit of a shot at the arm right after it happens because you get these fresh things. I mean, you always get a big name moves over and then a bunch of, like, mid-card guys. Maybe every once in a while when they really feel squirrely, they'll swap the mid-card belts, which I don't I like the IC on SmackDown. Like, I used to not. I liked when it was on Raw, which it was my whole, like, childhood. But, like, and even in the new design, like, it just seems – it's a SmackDown belt. The Raw is on the USA Network, so give it the United States title. That's just always been my opinion on that. The Universal title has shown that it can flop shows and just change colors, and it's good to go. I think we all knew that would eventually happen.
They're not going. Fox is not going to let WWE move Roman Reigns over. That's not going to happen.
Definitely not. Plus, that storyline's nowhere near done either. So we'll be.
Yeah.
I don't know who the biggest name could be. I mean, all the guys I'm thinking of, I want in NXT. Like if Kevin Owens went back to NXT, like I'd be all for it. They could shock us and send up Ciampa because that's something that he doesn't want. He's already stated like he'd retire before leaving NXT. He's probably exaggerating a little bit, but that's someone I would like to see for sure. You're not going to send up like Damian Priest or a champion or I don't know. They always pick somebody random. Like Cameron Grimes will randomly be on SmackDown after next week. Like you just never know. I don't know who's going to benefit most from it, but I mean, I am excited to see. The format's always different. I don't know. Usually they do Raw gets 2 picks to SmackDown's 1 because it's a longer show, and then they do the whole if you win a match, you win a pick for your brand. Like the format's different every year. So I'm even more intrigued. It's hard to make guesses, but I'm even more intrigued to see how they're doing it this year because it seems to change every year.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna do it like on SmackDown. Only SmackDown people's gonna get picked up, and then on Raw, only Raw people's gonna get picked up. And
That
then,
could, that could work too.
I think they should do that, and then of course, you got the supplemental draft, and all the mid cards usually get picked up during that time.
For sure. So I don't know. It's hard to really make any predictions on it, but it'll probably be entertaining. So I'll definitely be tuning into that both Friday and on Monday. Hope you guys will as well, and thank you for listening to this episode or watching this episode of the Wrestle Report. For those that haven't, if you're a YouTube watcher, go and hit subscribe if you haven't. I'm on that hunt for 100 subscribers. I'm only like 3 or 4 away. So if you do enjoy the show, hit that button. Hit the little bell also so you don't miss an episode.
Yeah. Come on now.
Come on. And other than that, guys, thanks for watching and listening. And enjoy the draft over the week. And we'll see you next time. Peace.